Hello and welcome to the show, our first special for the year. Tonight we'll be looking at the waste we generate in our homes and how that waste is actually a valuable resource. We'll begin in my backyard, in my street. Then we'll cast the net wider and see how waste is being managed on a larger scale, including resource recovery. We'll also visit a school community that's leading the way.
We've planted 2,000 plants and we're planting more so that more animals will come.
And finally, we'll take a look at some simple solutions available to everyone. It all starts at home and it all ends at home. Let's get going.
Compost, done.
The average Aussie household uses a lot of stuff to keep it ticking over. We bring all sorts of things into our homes. Food, consumables, appliances, you name it. And when it comes to dealing with what comes back out, most of us try and do the right thing and put it into the green waste and recycling bins. But the reality of our busy lives is that most of it ends up in here, the mixed waste bin. This is one of my neighbour's bins and they've given me the okay to have a look inside. They're a family with a couple of kids and what I'm going to do is separate, identify and weigh what's in here as an example so that we can better understand the type and quantity of things that go in here every week of the year. I know that the bin itself weighs 10 kilos, which means there's another 10 kilos in there. Let's see exactly what it is. Let's have a closer look inside some of these bags and see exactly what's in there. Some simple separation and you can see that there's a lot of stuff in here that could go straight into the recycling bins. We've got plastic containers, aluminium cans and metal tins. There's a couple of glass bottles. There's lots of paper and cardboard packaging. We've got plastic bags, but it's this one that's the important one. That's all food scraps. If I weigh it, it comes in at 5.3 kilos, which is half of the weight of the entire bin. All of this could be composted or put into a worm farm. It's no secret to most gardeners that lots of stuff like this can be processed in our own backyards into fuel for soil and plants. Now I'm off to see what exactly happens to the valuable resources in mixed bins like these once they leave the street. But first, here's Jane on the Mornington Peninsula at a school purpose-built for sustainability.
We're only a small part of the global picture, but our actions here on site make a difference to the environment out there.
I'm at St Macartan's Primary School in Mornington, an hour or so south of Melbourne, with teacher Carmela Theobald. She's showing me how water and energy saving, waste management and encouraging biodiversity has been integrated into every aspect of the design and student experience here.
We had the opportunity to build a school that not only took the buildings into account, but the outdoor landscape as an entire holistic approach to building a sustainable school. We have 32 solar panels which generate enough electricity to power our computer lab. We have approximately 800 metres of swales that run throughout the school, and these swales help to remove pollutants, and rain that falls across these pergolas and verandas directly waters the native and Indigenous gardens that surround the buildings. We collect water in rainwater tanks to flush our toilets.
And of course you've got the vegetable gardens, you've got the worm farms, the compost.
That's right. And our miniature pigs. We want our children to feel empowered, and we try to engage all of our students to make a difference.
We record our temperature twice a day and we try to keep it in a reasonable temperature, so it's not too hot, not too cold. Especially in winter, if it is getting a bit too hot, we must turn off the heater.
And tell us about those air vents in your classroom.
When it's summer and it's hot inside and then cool outside, it really just brings out the hot air and then brings in the cool air, which it does it automatically.
Automatically?
Yeah.
It certainly looks like they've put some thought into dealing with rubbish here.
Each classroom sorts its waste into 5 buckets. We have mixed recycling separated from landfill. We collect all of our food waste. We even recycle our plastics and our paper.
You make things nice and neat and so that they don't have to sort it out at the recycling centre.
What's going to happen to that soft plastic?
That's going to get melted down and they're going to make it into plastic tables and things like that.
Organic material is composted or fed to the worms here, but they're also using one other time-honoured technique.
We introduced the pigs to help combat the food waste which we produce every day. On average, it can be as much as 10 kilograms a day, and they do a great job.
And the kids are all into the vegetable garden, I can see.
Oh, yes, we have a garden club.
And what's so good about this vegetable garden, Leo?
It's got a great diversity of plants. For example, we have strawberries, peaches, oranges, lemons, corn, and heaps more.
Sometimes we either sell it to the parents and children or we'll eat it. We've cooked pizzas with some of our produce, and I really like that.
This is a pretty nifty setup you've got here, Carmela.
Oh, it is very impressive. We call it our Sustainability Centre. It was constructed by our parents through Working Bees, and we used recycled materials and reclaimed materials where possible. We have a hothouse where the children propagate plants, and lots of animals in here, including guinea pigs, rabbits and chooks.
And the kids get in and they love propagating.
Absolutely. They've recently propagated some strawberries from cuttings, but they've also been harvesting some spring onion seeds that have gone to seed recently, and they're learning how to separate the seed from the rest of the flower head.
I love it when kids can really enjoy that. They know what they've grown and they can get a chance to pick it and eat it.
Oh, that's right. And it's important for them to make a link between the seed, the flower and the fruit, because sometimes we don't recognise where our food actually comes from.
And what's your favourite thing with the school being sustainable like it is?
Just coming and seeing everyone happy and playing. And
Do you know, I noticed that when I came here early this morning. I noticed as the mums and dads were dropping people off, everyone was very friendly. Is that always the case?
yeah,
It's a good school, isn't it?
yeah.
So, Carmela, you must have a great lot of faith in the future.
I do. I think the skills that they're learning here at school will stay with them forever. Gives them that confidence that they can make change. So fill them up. Doing a great job.
Our kids really are our future. What a fantastic school. Now, you're probably wondering where I am at the moment. This is the largest alternative waste treatment facility in the Southern Hemisphere at Eastern Creek in Western Sydney. David Singh is the CEO here.
This plant's about diverting waste from landfill, and predominantly the organic portion of the waste stream. We treat waste like a resource, and what we discovered in analysing waste is about 2/3 to 3/4 of the waste stream is either recyclable or organic.
How much volume are you actually processing in this plant?
So this plant's receiving about 100 to 110 truckloads of waste a day, so about 1,000 tonnes of waste.
1,000 tonnes.
1,000 tonnes of waste. So over our 8-year life, we've processed the equivalent now of an MCG full of waste, about 1.2 to 1.4 million tonnes of waste. A lot of resource, a lot of material, a lot of opportunity in that material being delivered to us each day.
So what's the process here?
This is the first stage of processing we call pre-sort, and we're seeking to take out the hazardous materials, contaminants and incompatible Materials such as gas cylinders, fire extinguishers, electronics, there's batteries, flares, and materials that are long and stringy. We also take the opportunity to manually recover paper at this point in the process.
Next up, the separation process begins and the waste is sorted into all of the bits that can be recycled. Metal's removed in a couple of ways, using a combination of electrical currents and magnets. Blasts of air blow away plastic film from the rest of the waste. Then another hand sorting stage removes things like plastic bottles and remaining batteries. So at the end of the process, what's left is organic matter, which is then shredded and ready to be composted.
Welcome to the compost hall, Costa.
Thanks, David. I don't know what's going to be at the top of these stairs.
Oh, you wait and see.
Oh, look at that. That's enormous.
It's actually 2 football fields in length.
Wow. I mean, I've never seen an indoor compost bay of this scale before. It's just amazing.
It's probably one of the largest in the world, definitely the largest in Australia. As you can see, the material's being fed in on the right-hand side, and progressively it's being composted and turned each day until it exits the building after approximately 2 weeks. We're drawing air through the pile to keep it nice and oxygenated. We've got water being added on the second turner to keep the moisture levels. That way the aerobes in the compost are nice and healthy and happily doing their job of making compost.
This is my kind of compost hall.
Well, welcome, Costa. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. So after the indoor composting phase, we bring the material outdoors and it's stored here for 4 weeks where it matures. After that, it goes to market.
So, how pure is this stuff?
Under regulations, it's required to be 99% clean. So we have less than 1% plastic, metal, or hard plastic in this final compost.
That's amazing. And then what do you do with it?
So this material is predominantly going to agriculture. So I think last year 90% went to agriculture and about 10% was used in rehabilitation on mine sites and the like.
David, it's a fantastic system. It's really exciting.
Oh, thank you very much. Look, it's one of the most efficient and environmentally effective ways of dealing with waste. It's just unfortunate that to date only 7% of Australia's waste is managed like this.
7%, I mean, that's a real shame. But, I mean, what do you see the future holding for resource recovery of this scale?
Yeah, look, we have a vision of a wasteless society where all of the materials that are coming to a facility like this are either organic or recyclable. So with some improved policy and some new legislation and more infrastructure like this, we could achieve that vision in time.
I love your vision.
Brilliant. Brilliant. We'll be checking your bin.
I use compost and worm poo and worm wee. Just everything that I eat and have scraps of, that all goes into the worm farm and into the compost heap, and then I reuse that.
My chicken hutch is actually made out of an old tall boy, a chest of 3 drawers. I've taken the middle one out and blocked it up, taken the back off, and the girls sleep in there and lay their eggs. All I have to do is pull the drawer out and voila, there's the eggs waiting for me.
Most of the materials that I've used to landscape my garden are recycled or repurposed, as I like to call them. We've got repurposed timber sleepers as feature posts. Most of the rock and rubble that I've used to landscape is all second-hand. The pavers are all second-hand. I've got second-hand bins that I found on the verge. So most of it really, nothing like putting something to a new purpose and give it a new life.
I love recycled objects turned into garden art. Anything, whether it's from hard rubbish, a salvage yard, whatever you can find. Things like old bike wheels, have some fun with them. It's handy if you've got a husband that welds too.
My whole philosophy behind this garden is not to throw anything away, so everything gets reused. The old trees that I took out, I pruned up and made into a wattle fence. And the old fence that blew down, well, that's become part of my new chook run.
Newspapers pile up around the house all the time, so to use them for mulch is a really great thing. It gets rid of them in a useful way, and they do make a great control over weed growth.
The most important recycled thing I use is recycled water. It got me through 5 years of drought. It always allowed me to grow food, and to be honest, without it, I wouldn't have a garden.
Well, one resource we're all a lot more careful with these days is water. Josh is visiting Victoria this week, where he's found a nursery that's leading the way when it comes to water.
Here on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula is one of Australia's largest propagation nurseries. In this shade house alone, there's over 1 million plants. And in the hothouses, over 1.6 million cuttings. All up across the whole facility, there's over 13,500 square metres of growing space. To sustain this massive number of plants requires a staggering 40 million litres of water each year. But this isn't a story about waste. It's about the clever use of a very important resource. And that resource is recycled wastewater. How many sort of hectares of...
It's 10 acres.
10 acres, okay, so about four hectares.
4 and a bit hectares.
Daniel Mansfield is a third-generation plant grower who has his eye firmly fixed on the future of the industry. So what's the main water supply?
Our main water supply is A-class recycled sewage water from a local Eastern treatment plant down the road. They have a pipe that runs directly through our property and we pump it into our wetland. So this is the start of our wetland area where the wastewater is pumped into the initial part of our wetland.
So there's no odour? It's obviously very high quality.
No, there's no odour at all. Very clear water. It's very high quality water. Plus we capture all the stormwater runoff as well, and it comes into here, channels through this vegetation patch here, which is a bit of a water hedge. So it fills the first pond and then spills through a series of ponds, and will take about 6 months to get through the whole wetland. We then pump it out of the final pond into some holding dams, irrigate it through the nursery, and then we recapture that water back again right at the start of the wetland and reuse it over and over again.
So really the water's cycling through and you're using that recycled water as your main top-up input?
Yeah. We estimate we get about 60% of what we irrigate with actually back through the drainage system.
So talk us through the processes in the wetland and how that helps improve and maintain water quality.
So as the water comes in, it's very high in nutrient load. It goes into the wetland. The plants, with their root systems and the soil and the microbial action in the whole ecosystem, then strip all the nutrient out of the water. They store it in their foliage. We harvest that every couple of months, and then that takes the nutrient level down to a safer, usable level for the young plants that we're growing here.
The nutrients Daniel's talking about are things like nitrogen and phosphorus. Too much nitrogen can create inconsistent plant growth, and excessive phosphorus can be really harmful to some species. But nothing at this place is wasted. So this is where all the harvested vegetation ends up?
Yeah, this is our composting recycling area where basically all our harvested vegetation from the wetland, our recycled green waste from excess cutting production, and also recycled potting mix comes to be recycled, composted, and then put back out onto the mother stock beds as organic matter.
Okay, so it's not just the recycled water being used here, but also you're reusing all of the organic matter on the side as well.
All the organic matter that we use in producing plants, soil, green waste, we reuse over and over again to recycle everything that we use.
Fantastic. So this is the source of all of your propagation material?
Yeah, this is our mother stock facility where we come each morning and harvest all the cuttings and take them inside to be produced each day.
And is all this on recycled water also?
Yeah, every bed out here is irrigated with recycled water by a drip line under the mulch.
So tell us how critical water security is to the business.
Well, it's the lifeline of our business. In the drought, the most recent drought that we had, we were looking to move to stage 4 water restrictions, which meant that we could only irrigate for 2 hours a day. Now, our irrigation cycle time at the moment is about 14 hours, so it would have meant we had to close the doors.
In terms of reduction on mains water use from the systems, from the recycling?
Once we got the system fully up and running, we've been able to reduce our mains water reliance by about 95%. The cost benefits are quite dramatic when you consider we're using 30 to 40 million litres of water a year, and the price of water, mains water, is ever increasing. The cost savings have been quite dramatic and allowed us to invest in other areas of our business and what we would have been using on spending on water.
Were you always convinced that this was a good way to go?
To be honest, initially I was a little sceptical that a wetland would be able to clean commercial volumes of water that we needed to a level we needed to be able to grow our plants uniformly and to the quality that we would like. After 6 months of testing the water, we could see the nutrient levels drop down to basically mains water levels.
So the success has surprised you?
Very much so, yeah, very much so.
Last year, the nursery won the Silver Rose, a highly prestigious international industry award based not only on business performance, innovation and product, but also environmental and social responsibility. So how important is this approach to the future of the industry, do you think?
It's massively important. Nurseries need to be able to break their reliance on mains water if they're going to continue to grow their businesses and supply plants to the industry.
While it's great to see our changing approach to resources on a big scale, most gardeners know that the most efficient way to resource recovery is in our own backyard. Why pay to have your organics taken away and then buy it back in a bag? Now, 3 great ways to utilise your organic waste at home are, of course, by composting, worm farming, or feeding it to chooks or other poultry. The girls here are chewing through about 6 homes of waste per week, turning it into luscious fertiliser and eggs for me to share in the neighbourhood. One man who's deeply committed to spreading the home composting and worm farming message is JP Williamson, Commander-in-Chief of the Compost Revolution. He's delivering a compost bin today for the family whose bin we looked at earlier. So JP, what's the Compost Revolution all about?
Yeah, Compost Revolution makes it easy for people to start composting at home. You just go online, do a tutorial and order a free compost bin or worm farm to your door.
That's pretty simple, but what sort of results have you been getting with the program?
Yeah, in Sydney's 3 eastern suburbs councils, where we started, we've worked with 3,500 households and we're diverting about 800 tonnes from landfill every year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about 2.3 kilograms per house per week.
Yeah, well, that ties in with the waste audit that I did on the bin, where we had 5 kilograms of food waste that could have been turned into compost right here rather than go to landfill. Now, I've got a family down the street who are keen to join the revolution.
Let's go set them up.
Okay, let's do it. On the steps there, mate. Get out there and ask your council what initiatives they're supporting and work with them towards a goal of zero waste. Begin a revolution in your community. One compost bin after another.
The compost downtown.
Worms are really the most amazing creatures at converting all sorts of food scraps from your kitchen, little bits of brown paper, moistened cardboard, all of that type of thing can go into a worm farm where they really do a lot of good work. This is the top tray, the feeding tray, and that's where you put all the food scraps, and they will gobble those up in no time at all. And you'll find that in about 4 to 6 weeks, the bottom tray, which is the bedding tray, will be filled with this. Now that's worm castings or worm poo, plenty of worms still in there. And down the bottom, you have a drip system. The tray will be dripping all the worm wee into that, and you put that 1 to 10 into a bucket of water for your pot plants. But it's the worm castings that I find most important. People always want to know how to go about separating the worm castings and if there's a few worms left in there. Well, it's dead easy. And one thing is that worm castings, don't actually smell. A healthy worm farm, no smell at all. But the easiest way to separate them is to put a mound like that, and the worms hate sunlight or light of any description. They'll crawl down to the bottom. So every few minutes, come by and just scrape off the top layer, and as the sunlight hits them, they will go down deeper into the pile, and eventually you will have separated them. It might take a half an hour or so of gardening time. The worms can then go back into their feeding tray, and you're left with all this wonderful worm poo that you can make a slurry in a bucket of water, swoosh it round the garden, extra nutrients, or if you want to, just use a little, about 10-cent piece, just like that, and put that around the plant, and you'll find watering it in, it'll do your garden no end of good.
Well, that's it for this week. But join us next week when we'll be looking at the role that plants play in the way we commemorate people and events. Sophie will be looking at the history of Australia's Avenues of Honour. Well, thanks everyone for coming along and being a part of day one of our commemorative walkway project. I'll be helping to transform a laneway off my street into a place to honour past residents and welcome new ones.
Thanks, Costa. That's a wonderful gesture.
Fantastic. And Angus will be visiting the largest public cemetery in the Southern Hemisphere to look at how the plants help make it such a special place. So until next week, get out there and get active in your home and your backyard. And let's all change the way that we think about waste. Hi, Costa here. If you've missed an episode of Gardening Australia, catch up on ABC iView or go to the Gardening Australia website. It's too easy.